Hi everyone, Dru with Dru Talks. So 2020 has been super exciting for me because I've learned so many new phrases and vocabulary, concepts I never thought would be handed out are now accepted as normal, and I'm just going to share what my favorite ones are from this year. All right, so first thing you need to know in 2020, you have no rights when it comes to safety. If the CDC, if the United States government says that something is needed for the public safety, you have no religious freedom, you have no freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. None of that matters. You have no right to work, to leave your house, any of those things. The United States government has an incredible track record of, when it comes to safety, just never overreacting. If you ask any Japanese American from World War II, they're going to tell you the government behaved in completely understandable fashion. And the CDC, it's not like they let generation after generation of African American men die horribly under syphilis disease when they had medicine, but they wanted to see what it looked like when they died for 40 years. Yeah, the CDC, it's totally legit. It's got our best interests in mind. It's really so small and petite. It's really like a big family. It's not a massive organization that just sucks a ton of government money every single year. Nope. I think the CDC is totally great. And in fact, that wonderful new phrase, "In Fauci we trust," it's a beautiful thing. Romans 13 Christians. That's another new phrase from 2020 that I adore. Really, so much holiness, respecting authority, doing whatever the government tells you to do. Even if it means oppressing other people, you're doing it because you're a Romans 13 Christian. And you know what? I will bet that in the Civil War, you would have been an Ephesians 6 Christian. That's what you would have said. When a slave came to your door and needed help escaping, you would have called his master and said, "Look, it is important that you respect authority. And I'm an Ephesians 6 Christian. So don't you bring your abolitionism over here." Nope. World War II, you would have said, as a Romans 13 Christian, I'm going to have to be okay with them shutting down all the Japanese American businesses on the West Coast and carting them off to an internment camp in Wyoming for years and years and years. But as a Romans 13 Christian, I'm perfectly comfortable with this. Romans 13 Christians in Germany who were very, very understanding when their government made everyone who was Jewish wear the little cloth that they didn't want to wear on their arm or their face. Well, their face, that's nowadays. Is racial justice and social justice. I am totally ignorant on this because I had always assumed that there was just justice and that it was blind and it was just justice. But no, apparently justice has adjectives. There is social justice and racial justice, which aren't justice alone. They need an adjective, which honestly, if it isn't justice alone, my ignorant mind sometimes feels like it just might not be justice. Oh, my most favorite phrase that I learned this year, virtue signal. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that. It's just priceless. I never quite knew what to call it before. Virtue signal. It's all over the place. People aren't going to know you're virtuous unless you tell them. They're not going to know from your actions. You have to speak it. Yes. You have to signal. Like you need to send up a flare that shows everyone that you're virtuous and you don't belong to any of that rabble. You are an elite step above virtuous, signaling the virtue. Shelter in place. This is a way more PC term for house arrest. In some states, they still are making them wear ankle bracelets for it, but they still are calling it shelter in place, which to me makes it seem so much better. No, it's a shelter and you're in your place. If you were to leave, you would be out of your place, not in your shelter, which is where you belong. Social distancing. This used to be called isolation, and it was well known to be mentally destructive, but now it is a sign of virtue. It's important to know when you're in isolation, social distancing, anyone who is not a member of your household is nothing more than a biological weapon waiting to go off. Pay close attention. If you can see their face, picture like Medusa from the Greek myth, you could turn to stone. If you can see their face, they are 10 times more deadly. So be sure to socially distance. It may make your children really, really awkward adults, which for years you've been telling homeschool families about the dangers of that. But in the name of safety, you can sacrifice your child's childhood and mental sanity. Yes, because this disease, there's only a 99.5% or higher likelihood that your child would survive it. So that is worth all the destructive long-term damage from the masking, the social distancing, the anxiety, those thousands of dollars worth of therapy they're going to go through. It's worth it. The fact that young adults, 1 in 4 of them are seriously considering suicide right now, worth it. The fact that our old people who are not going to live much longer shut up in isolation in nursing homes, worth it. The reason it's worth it is because the governments in history, if we go back in history, okay, never mind, scratch that, because if we go back in history, it doesn't look good for where this is going, but I guarantee you, this is the first time in history that this government, the United States government, what they're doing, 100% okay. 100% okay. Making the populace give up their bodily autonomy, locking people in their homes, taking away their basic religious freedoms and the freedom to be face to face with each other, all that controlling stuff. This is the first time in history it's going to end well. I can really feel it. Gaslighting. Seems to be a lot of that going around. One thing you need to know about 2020, it's super important. Are you a masker or an anti-masker? These are the questions that matter. They matter in 2020. Masker, anti-masker. Pick a side. Pseudo morally elite. I like that one. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. Go ahead and write your favorite phrases down in the comments if you have any that I forgot. Go ahead and like this, subscribe to this channel, share it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.